In the last episode, we left from Charleston, South Carolina with only a few hiccups along the way and took on another offshore overnight passage. Hey there, my name's Taylor. Whether I'm traveling by air, land, or sea, I want to use my skills and various methods of travel to explore our beautiful planet. Subscribe to join me as I navigate life with my sense of adventure as my compass.
Well, Taylor, give us a blow-by-blow of what took place.
Well, yesterday went well until about 2 o'clock in the morning. Passed by Savannah, and the wind turned directly into us, so we were beating straight into the waves, and yeah, the engine started quitting. RPMs dropped and it bogged out, so turned around. We're coming into Hilton Head, sort of. I think we're going to be getting picked up and brought to Beaufort, South Carolina. So, yeah, waiting for sea tow, round 2. Alright, so little debrief about the other day. Once it got dark, the wind was really picking up a little bit, and I mean we were sailing close hauled and kind of beating into it the whole day. So then just after we passed Savannah, and we kind of turned again a little bit more, and then we were heading like straight towards our destination, and we were just smashing into the waves. And you went down for a sleep for like maybe an hour, and during that time, when we would hit a big wave, the engine would kind of bog down and the RPMs would drop, and then it would kind of recover and come back up to normal. And then slowly it just periodically was happening more often, and then eventually it just bogged right down and died. At the time too, we were beating into it so hard, like we were barely making headway. I just decided this isn't working. I don't like this. We're turning around. So we turned around, and then we were able to sail because we were going downwind. So we had both the sails up then at that point, and we were going along at like 5.5 knots. We would have gone back into Savannah because it was closer, but in order to get into Savannah, you have to go 3 miles up the river, which with no engine, or not a reliable engine, that's not happening. And we didn't want to be stuck in the shipping lane around a bunch of cargo ships coming in the morning with not a good working engine. We passed Savannah and went back on course to Hilton Head, and I got the engine to run again for like another couple hours before it bogged down. And eventually, once we got closer into Hilton Head, into the channel there, that was when I called Sea Tow, or Towboat US, because luckily I had a membership. I definitely recommend everybody who has a boat get one. It's worth it.
It's worth it.
I think it's like $150 for a year membership, and if you didn't have that, the towboat would have cost like $400 or $500.
Yeah.
So obviously it's a fuel issue with the way that it was bogging down like that, and it could be the similar issue as to what happened to me and Bobby before with the little piece of plastic stuck in the intake. It could be dirty fuel, or sediment kind of stirred up in the fuel tank. It could be like a clogged filter. Definitely going to check that. And it could have something to do with the lifter pump too, because the wiring to that is a little kind of messed up, and we've had to do some weird things
of the boat.
Yeah, maybe the movement of the boat caused a wire to, not quite connect fully.
We were really going up and down and in the waves, and so it just seemed coincidental that when we were heading into and beating into the waves, that's when the engine started really failing. So maybe that had something to do with it.
Yeah.
As far as
But then we determined the issue with the alternator is actually a bad battery. We diagnosed that last night. I've got a battery that's just toast. It's no good. And so we think that was what was causing the alternator to have issues, because it's working overtime to try and charge a fried battery. Today is Fix It Friday. I really want to try and work on things as much as I can myself. Number one, because I want to continue learning and really know my engine and all its components inside and out, know what I've fixed, and know what wires are good, know what's not. And you can't really do that if you're just paying somebody to fix it for you, and that doesn't help you in the future when
Doesn't
things
help
go
you
wrong.
at 2 o'clock in the morning out, in the middle of the ocean. So the more that, Taylor knows about her boat, the more likelihood that she will be able to do something about it in situations like we had the other
Yeah,
day.
exactly. Of course everything was going fine until 2 o'clock in the morning when you're out there in the middle of the night, and
I have to say, I have full confidence in the captain here. She was making quick decisions, making the right decisions, choosing her course, getting the direction that we needed to. If all else failed, at least we could sail back and get ourselves into the wind that would take us to where we needed to go. So her decisions were wise, and ultimately it brought us here and kept us safe, and she was all about safety.
so yeah, let's get to work, lady.
All right, let's do her.
Judging by our panel here, we know that one of our batteries is low voltage, and it's obviously a bad battery. 13.4. So we know that one's good. And 13.4. So we know that one's good. Well, I guess that leaves this one to test. So the start battery is a different kind of battery. It's a bit smaller. So obviously we can assume that this is the bad one, but just to be double sure, yeah, it's only 10.9 volts. So we know that that one's bad, and we're gonna have to replace it.
Aside from all the work on the boat, there was also a long list of more normal chores that needed to be completed, so Mom was nice enough to take on the task. So I disconnected the fuel supply, the fuel intake, and blew through it, which is what we did the last time when that little plastic piece came out. And it blew through really clear. Where the ray core is, I obviously drained the ray core. There was a teeny tiny little drop maybe of water at the very bottom. Not enough, I don't think, to really do anything. There's a few little particles of black stuff in there. I don't know if that's the same like plastic related to what was in there before. I drained the ray core, and then obviously I'm changing the filters, which I changed that filter before I left New York, so like a month and a half or 2 months ago now. Before the ray core, there is this Algae X thing, and it's a magnetic fuel conditioner. So I don't know if this is part of the problem, if this got, clogged or anything, or isn't working right, but I'm thinking about just bypassing that because I don't think that it's really necessary. The only problem is that this fitting that needs to go into the ray core, I can't disconnect this from the nut here. So I'm gonna have to maybe try and find somebody strong who can get it, or just keep trying. Because in order for the fuel supply hose to connect to that, I need to remove that so that this part can screw in. Boat work's continuing today, or it just never ended. And we woke up this morning smelling a lot of diesel. So I looked under here, and we couldn't get the fitting apart that it would originally go into the ray core. So I found a spare one that I had that looked like it would fit, but I guess it didn't really work, and it was leaking out of there. And so I had to drain the ray core and unattach that again, but draining the ray core again, I saw that there was really a lot of particulate, and so we're gonna change the fuel line. Hopefully that helps a little bit. I got the old one kind of freed up and attached to the new line, and we're just gonna kind of snake it through now. Keep pulling. You seeing any duct tape yet?
Yeah, I'm going very slowly.
Yeah, that's good. gentle. I'm trying to help push on my side too. It's split. Yeah.
I think it's in here. Like it was this far.
Oh yeah, that's the duct tape right there. Okay, we're good. It's fine. At least we got that far. Okay, so we got the new fuel line on and turned the lifter pump on, filled the ray core up with diesel, and I don't see any leaks, so it looks promising. Still is a little bit of sediment, obviously, in the fuel. I think the fuel tanks has some in it, and maybe the line contributed to that, but I mean, it doesn't hurt to do a new fuel line just in case. There's one thing done. Now we need to get the battery in. New battery in, and it's the moment of truth. Yay! Careful!
I love this thing.
So today we're doing a bit of work getting prepared for our next journey further south. So the marina that we are at right now is currently not selling any fuel because they're doing some maintenance repairs on it, which means we have to go fill jerry cans up. They were gracious enough to let us use their cart because the gas station is about 4 blocks away. So that's my job today. I'm filling up the jerry cans. I'm back in here to the boat. Got them all here safely and sound. And that's one part of the job done today. I'm gonna fill the water, all the water tanks up, and fill the generator up, make sure everything is filled up. Probably we'll run the boat for a while just to see how our fixes are doing. And then we're gonna plan our next route.
The last big job on our to-do list was to get the old alternator working again. We tried a few different things, from tapping on the back to see if we could free up any brushes that were sticking, to checking the belt tension, and even replacing the belt. But with no luck. Despite everything we tried, there was still no difference in the alternator charging the batteries. So I removed the old one and brought it into a shop where they could bench test it, and diagnosed that the problem with the old one was actually the regulator. I had the old one rebuilt and also purchased a new one to have on board as a spare. I decided to install the brand new one, wired it in exactly the same way as the old one was. When we tried it out, still had no luck. The alternator refused to work. Obviously there was a further wiring issue, but it was very difficult to trace from some of the work that the previous owners have done. Between the connectors and the harness, the individual wires changed colors probably 5 different times. So we eventually gave up hope.
Mechanic to do, and I just dropped that in my coffee. Oh yeah, we lost a jerry can, a diesel jerry can, off the back. We had them tied down with like 6 different bungee cords, but apparently that wasn't good enough when you're rocking and rolling. So that kind of sucked.
You didn't like those jerry cans.
Yeah,
anyways.
screw those freaking jerry cans anyways.
They were
pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Thank you to my amazing patrons for sticking with me through all of the challenges and continuing to make this channel possible.